Hello and welcome to the first episode of Percept India on MATV, a show that aims to unlock all those reasons which are being used against India and Indians world over to make them look, to vilify them, to make them look bad. Why? Why is there so much of negative information warfare against a country like Bharat that believes in sustainable development, that believes in uh, Vasudeva Kutum, which means that the whole world is one family, that is home to so many cultures, so many religions, that is on the path of becoming a world leader in global economics? Why so much of negative information warfare against this country? The show aims to delve deeper into geopolitics that impacts India and Indians living around the globe outside of India. And today, for our guest, our first guest on MATV's Percept India is Satnam Surana, a student of law from the Indian city of Pune, who's currently studying in London in the London School of Economics, pursuing his master's in law. Welcome to the show, Satyam.
Thank you, Yanaji, for having me.
So, the idea of bringing Satyam on our first episode is because Satyam happens to be one of those people who unfortunately got targeted outside his country just for being an Indian. Satyam recently contested in the Students' Union elections in the London School of Economics, and what he faced there was targeted harassment. And it seems like this targeted harassment was only targeted because he is an Indian, a patriotic Indian, proud of his Indian roots. And so he gets targeted. Let's delve more into this topic and find out what happened. Satyam, please tell us more about the situation. What exactly did you face? And who are these people who targeted you in the London School of Economics? And which specific action of theirs made you feel that it was indeed targeted harassment?
First of all, Yanaji, I would like to make it clear that I was running for the student union elections in the London School of Economics for the position of General Secretary. I filled my nominations around in the end of February when it was announced, and we started campaigning from the 11th of March. The voting for the election was scheduled on 18th and 19th of March, and it was somewhere around between the 11th and the 18th. That is a week full of campaigning that me and my entire campaigning team went around the entire campus, interacting with students, getting to know them, interacting with the international community here at LSE. We got tremendous support, tremendous goodwill from the people. It was then on 13th or 14th we realized that our posters are being taken down, that some of my posters, the campaigning material that is pasted all over campus is being taken down. We initially thought that it might be some notorious activity by some other students, but on 15th, that is a Friday, I realized that my posters have been defaced. There are red cross marks all over my face on my posters, and content like anybody but Satyam is written on it. And to my surprise, it was only me who was targeted and no other candidate. There were other candidates as well in the election. So it was only me. It was at that point of time we realized that I am being individually targeted for some personal reason or personal vendetta whatsoever. To the surprise and to this addition, on 17th, that is just a day before voting, I can say around like 12 to 15 hours before voting could start, there were random messages on all LAC WhatsApp groups that were full of hate, that were full of vile, that were full of smear. The messages read like, "This is Satyam Surana, and this man Satyam Surana is an ardent supporter of Prime Minister Modi. He's an Indian who picked up the Indian national flag in the Khalistani protests which were happening outside the High Commission."
I want to stop you right there, Satyam, for 2 seconds. And I'd like to have the audience know about this particular incident that happened before, a few months ago, or rather a year ago, I think, when there was this attack by a Khalistani mob in London's Indian High Commission. The Indian flag was being demeaned. And Satyam Surana was in news even back then. He actually picked up the Indian flag from there to protect it from getting further demeaned. You know, the Indian flag was lying in the feet of the Khalistani mob that was trying to attack the Indian High Commission. So yes, that is where he displayed his emotions for his country, for India, and that is since when he had started being, getting targeted, not just at school, but at other places on social media and in his general social circle as well in the UK. Am I right, Satyam?
You are right, Yanaji. I think somewhere that agony and personal hatred against me started at that point as well, but it manifested all the way when I decided to stand up for the elections. So these messages termed me as an Islamophobe. These messages termed me as a transphobe. These messages termed me as a radical fascist person. These messages termed me as a racist man, and all because of one single reason. The core reason of these messages being circulated against me is that I had publicly and openly expressed my appreciation and my support for the very successful Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi. And I think my tweets were screenshotted, my social media accounts were doxed all over. They were circulated, they were misrepresented, they were played with, my tweets were hampered with, and they were circulated all over. And I was termed to be a person who is a member of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and the sole reason that I was targeted was that I supported my prime minister, the prime minister of my country, the country who is leading the globe today.
So basically slurs, so many labels, you got labeled so mercilessly, and all this. Can we safely presume that this is not just targeted harassment, but also kind of discrimination? Discrimination not because you're black skinned, not because you're Jewish, not because you're Latin or Mexican, not because you're Arab or Muslim, but because you're an Indian. So Indophobic is actually a thing. Do you agree with me, or does this make sense to you? That there
I
is something
definitely
called Indophobic now, and it seems to be Indophobia seems to be growing in the world, especially in the UK. Do you agree?
I definitely agree with you, Yanaji, because this has been a trend over years as well. We have encountered and witnessed incidences like this previously. What came upon me was so harsh that the media had to take cognizance of it. I came out on Twitter publicly, but definitely this is a wide and a living example of Indophobia that is happening in the globe right now. And this is the fear, anxiety, and the helplessness of the people who are carrying their anti India elements within themselves, and this is the Indophobia that every proud Indian would have to face now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Satyam, since you are a person who's lived in India, because that's your country, and you've also lived in the UK for quite some time now. So, when you look at the situations in both these countries, do you feel that UK's policymakers need to take some lessons from India when it comes to, human dignity, the dignity of different cultures that are residing within the UK? Do you feel that?
I definitely think yes, because see, not only UK, we are living in a time when the entire world is taking different kinds of lessons from India. The example can be laid down in COVID when multiple countries approved and accepted the Indian pattern of vaccination. Almost every country in the world was using India-made vaccines for COVID. We are living in a country where the payment system called UPI and BHIM are being used globally now to approve payment. So definitely UK or any other country in the globe needs to take lessons from India as to how to maintain law and order, how to thrive the diversity and along with the unity. We are a country who is famous for its unity and diversity model. So I think the country who has always believed in the policies of divide and rule needs to take lessons from the country which has believed in the policy of unity and diversity.
Absolutely. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is what Modi ji says, and which is why there is like this huge concentration of people who seem to be appreciating him all over the world. They're from different religions, from different backgrounds, from different cultures, and even, people from different countries have been praising PM Modi. In fact, he seems to be having the highest approval rating that any leader in the world has. So I don't see how supporting PM Modi as an Indian makes you a fascist person, makes you an Islamophobe or a Hindutva terrorist. Where is the connection? Why is this being propagated so freely in the UK? And why does the UK not do anything to stop this kind of targeted harassment of, Indian origin people living in the UK? As you know, last year there was this big ruckus about, how Hindu children were being manhandled and mistreated by children from other communities. Nothing was being done for their protection. So why is the UK government not paying attention to this kind of unfair sort of treatment to the Indian origin residents of the UK?
I think this is just the policy or the shield of freedom of free speech and expression that these anti-India, the radical left, and the anti-establishment sections are using selectively. So, freedom of speech is only applicable to them when they use hate slurs and slogans against me. But when I express my political views without hampering anybody's personal identity on Twitter, I may be called a fascist person. So this selective use of the garb of freedom of speech and expression is something that needs to be handled and addressed in today's time.
Yes, but what do you think the UK government needs to do? Because as you know, see, there is an irony, okay, Satyam, in the UK, which everybody probably knows but doesn't talk about. The irony is that UK claims itself to be a land which welcomes refugees to give them a better life. Okay, and the human rights organizations are very vocal about the rights of these refugees who are literally living off the country's treasury. Whereas people like you who pay a hefty amount of fees, to study a credible course in the UK, thereby contributing to its economy, are facing this kind of attacks on their dignity. And nothing is being done for your rights. So this is the kind of irony that seems to be existing in UK society. So, what do you think the UK government needs to do for this? Don't you think they need to step up? What kind of solutions can they come up with so that people who are actually contributing to UK's economy, who may be from other parts of the world but contributing to UK's economy, may be shown more gratitude and more respect?
I think the UK government definitely needs to come up with a stringent, strict policy which is equally implemented as well. And then these policies should deal with how immigrants, the differentiation between immigrants and refugees should be made quite clear. We are immigrants here. We have immigrated from our motherland. We have migrated from there to study. Somebody is here to earn their living. We are not refugees here. We need not be treated like illegal refugees. We are here to earn a living. We are paying money to stay in the UK, and we are contributing to their economy as well. The government definitely would need to come up with some laws, and I think the elections are due in India as well as in the UK as well as in the US. 2024 is the year of global elections. It is ultimately the people of the UK who would have to decide on a strong, decisive leadership right now. We have seen the example where India is a living example wherein the correct leadership, if elected, can make wonders. We are seeing how Prime Minister Modi, when elected in 2014, the situation before 2014 and the situation after 2014. So what matters entirely is a strong, a decisive, and a bold leadership to be erected in the correct place. A correct person in the correct place in the correct time would help address many of these issues.
So, my final question, Satyam, is that if you compare a very disheartening and an unfortunate incident happened with a person from another country who came into India. Her name was Fernanda. She was a biker. And when she was traveling in India, unfortunately, something very bad happened with her. But her culprits were taken to sentence. They were taken, they were punished right away. They were arrested, they were punished, and a compensation was paid to her family and to her right away without wasting any time. So this is how India recognizes the right to dignity and the right to dignity of people who are not even from India but are currently on Indian soil. Do you think that the UK needs to step up and start some kind of punishment? Because as you said, the freedom of speech is being misused in a very rampant way in the UK, especially when it comes to India. So, do you think that there can be, punishments and quick decisions, quick justice for victims like you who've been, harassed, who've been targeted just for being from a certain community and being proud of being from that community?
Definitely, I would say as in the even from the perspective of a criminal lawyer myself who has practiced back in India, India has been purposely framed as a lethargic criminal justice system. But no, the entire world and even UK has a lot to learn from the Indian criminal justice system, and when it comes to grievance redressal of not only Indian citizens but the global people as well who are residing in India, be it for any purpose. So India is a role model for in many aspects for the world, and the UK can definitely take lessons as to how to safeguard and secure the rights of its citizens, of its residents, and of its legal immigrants and contributor to the economy, and how this grievance redressal mechanism can be strengthened, and people and hate mongers like this can be taken to task.
Thank you so much, Satyam. Finally, please do tell us, what are your plans for future? Are you going to continue standing for these elections, or have you, decided that it's not worth your time because there doesn't seem to be anything working in favor of a person who believes himself to be patriotic Indian on the UK soil?
See, I think the very motto that I came to the UK is to refurbish myself, to polish myself, so that India gets a better version of me. Yeah, so there have been multiple legendaries and luminaries who have studied in the UK, in the London School of Economics itself, including Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who framed the Indian Constitution. So I am here to polish myself. I am definitely going to go back now that everything, much of this controversy is over, and I am definitely of the opinion that no, these people are not worth me. I will be going back to India, and I am definitely going to work for my motherland. I will be working for my Matrubhumi and my Karmabhumi and my Janmabhumi. The very quote that I put in my statement that I came out on Twitter is, I remember Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji saying, क्या हार में क्या जीत में किंचित में भयभीत में संघर्ष पथ पर जो भी मिले ये भी सही वो भी सही मैं हार मानूंगा नहीं वरदान मैं मांगूंगा नहीं.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Satyam, for sharing your story with us and your insights and whatever resolutions you think are possible, so that more people do not have to face this kind of harassment and more people do not become victims like you did. Thank you so much for being such a strong son of Mother India.
Thank you so much,
So,
Yana
ladies
ji,
and
for having me
gentlemen,
and amplifying my voice. Thank you so much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was our first guest on the first episode of Percept India on MATV. I hope you enjoyed our show. Please stay tuned to MATV for more such shows.